Okay, so my name's Heather, and I'm gonna share this with James Parker at 12:30 a.m. in Waco, Texas, and probably on a couple other Facebook pages and my YouTube channel. You wanna tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm Dr. Marc Feldman. I'm running for the Libertarian nomination, candidate for President of the United States. I'm currently on the Libertarian National Committee representing Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, and Ohio. I was born in Washington, D.C., grew up in the area. I knew politicians growing up, been to their homes, and the fact was there was never a politician I wanted to support. I was never a Democrat or a Republican. I never registered to vote until I was 50 years old. It wasn't because I didn't care. I called myself an engaged and informed non-voter. It wasn't until 2009 that I discovered the Libertarian Party, a party of principle, and that's when I thought we could really make a difference. I ran in 2010 for the Ohio Attorney General. I got over 100,000 votes, which is more than my friends and family. But I spent very little money and very little time, and realized that dollars don't vote. And that now with modern communication technology, you don't need $1 billion to run for president.
So what will you do as president? What about the Libertarian Party is it that you hold most dear, or you think is most important?
The most important thing is that it's wrong for our government to control us. It's wrong for the multinational corporations and the wealthiest individuals to control us. Every American should control themselves. This is my message. Think for yourself, decide for yourself, empower yourself. And I have a plan to do that, both in a campaign for president. Most libertarians talk about going to the disgruntled Bernie Sanders voters and the disgruntled Trump voters. I say no. Where we need to go is to the 100 million people who have not been voting. There are already 100 million people in this country who don't believe in Democrats or Republicans. We don't have to convince we're better. We just have to convince that we're better than staying home. And the Democrats and Republicans are now getting so bad that staying home is no longer an option.
Okay, I agree with you on that. But what would you do as president?
President, first thing is to I'll have a commission together to pull together the nonviolent criminals who could be pardoned. I would like to have a significant, huge decrease in our prison population. You know, if someone steals $1,000 and you call it punishment to put them in jail, but if it costs me $30,000 to keep them in jail, who's the one really being punished? So pardons are...
Okay, let me ask you this. If they've only been convicted of stealing $1,000, but throughout their lifetime they've stolen $30,000, will steal another $100,000 if they get away with it.
Well, that's the question. Or are they doing it to feed their families, and if they're not stealing it, somebody else is stealing it? Does it work? There's no evidence that it works. And I'm not saying that we should just open the doors. What I'm saying is to encourage the private funding of foundations like Delancey Street and others that give us support and a structure for people's lives. So, you know, we need to undo the factors in our society that got them in prison in the first place. But it's not for government to do, it's for people to do. Okay. So as president, I have a very simple plan. It's called the Balance and Credit Plan. Number one, balance the budget and keep it balanced. Not in 5 years, not in 3 years, immediately. We're only 13% over budget. The Democrats and Republicans each have proposed cuts that cut money that go to the special interests that support the other party. Let's take both those cuts, balance the budget, and then change all charitable contributions to 100% dollar-for-dollar tax credits. That means every person can be a foundation. Instead of giving money to the IRS, you can give it to the charity of your choice. And this is the way we can support ourselves and each other and build our country up by the choices of millions of Americans. If you don't want to fund drone warfare and surveillance on Americans, you can support health care for the homeless or any other educational or things that increase the human capital.
Okay, excellent. Mom, next question. How about what would you do about the borders and the refugees coming in? Where do you stand on that?
That's a good example that I say about a lot of problems. The big problems in our country, I would like to take each big problem and break it into 320 million pieces and give every American a piece. What that means for immigrants is every American should be empowered. We already have a system to sponsor relatives. If you have a relative who's not a citizen, you want to bring them to this country and take responsibility for their success, you can. I want to drop the family relationship requirement and let any American citizen sponsor as a few or as many refugees as they want. They don't have to pay for it themselves. They can also use their community, their church, or other organizations to help people succeed. But who should be vetting people? The government can't vet these people, but Americans can. And if someone says we should let more refugees, I say sure. Okay. How many would you like?
Okay, but what if the people who are bringing them in are human traffickers?
Well, it's like anything. You know, they're Americans. If people are doing human trafficking, that's a crime. If people are doing crime, we have a system for taking care of crime. That shouldn't be the issue. The issue is one of freedom. You own a home. You should be able to invite who you want to invite to your home. And you should be able to vouch for them. And if you're wrong, you need to take responsibility for it.
Okay, so if they're not invited by anybody in America and they show up at the border and they want to come in and there's no invitation and no visa, what do you say we do with them?
What's that? Well, you do they have a system. There's a waiting list, a waiting line.
Okay, so you're cool with denying people entrance. You don't have any means of support. I'm cool with that. I'm not saying I'm not cool with that.
No, I'm not denying anything, but I'm saying that there's a process.
Okay.
You can't let people jump the line when there's others waiting in line. There's millions and millions of immigrants to this country who've come here legally, and I want to encourage it. But what I would like to do is to make as much of it possible legal. The fact is, the people who are coming here to work, and they're not coming here to commit crime. If they commit crime, they leave. Immigrants have less crime and have a much higher employment rate than Americans. So, and they're not job takers, they're job makers. They're human capital. It's like human beings are a resource, like gold or gas or oil or anything else. It's the issue of not paying people not to be useful. That's the issue.
Okay, so you'd be for cutting, let's say, the healthcare system. How are you going to handle that?
Again, through the balancing credit system. People can decide, do you want to support government health care, or do you want to directly send your dollars to Johns Hopkins or to Cleveland Clinic or any other health care, or your local hospital? When hospitals are getting this money, then they can decide to set up their own systems for both preventive care as well as urgent care and every other care that's needed. You know, the money is all coming from us anyway. But the difference is, why should 100 people in Washington make a decision when we have 200 million people who can make these decisions, because they know the best answers in their own local area.
Thank you so much for your time. Now, last statement, why should people vote for you over Gary Johnson or Austin Peterson or any of the other candidates? What makes you best?
Well, I don't say that I'm best. I don't even say that I'm better. I say that I'm different. And I don't see this as a race. I see it as a decision. My message is, think for yourself, believe in yourself, empower yourself. You decide. And if it's not a question if I'm best, it's if I'm best for you. But the fact is, I do have a plan. And a plan not just to do well, but potentially to win. And that's by going to the non-voters. You know, we have a lot of success with ballot access. We're on the ballot in all 50 states. We've got the ballot access, now we need the voter access. We need to do a 50-state voter registration program to get thousands and thousands of new voters in. And then they'll spread the message because they'll know we want to represent them. And they haven't had that before.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Feldman.
Thank you.
Have a great one.